I think that kid was following me for a long time. Hey everyone, welcome back to Dan Does Korea. It is Saturday morning, it's about 7:30. I got up really early this morning. The bike is out of the shop and I was itching for a ride. I left the house about 5:05 this morning. I said in my previous video that I intended to do some of the less explored places in Korea, and I do. But I'm in Gapyeong right now, and Gapyeong is not one of those places. It's actually a very popular place. The reason I'm here is because a few years ago, I heard that there was a monument put up for Canadian soldiers during the Korean War, and I've always wanted to check it out. I didn't know where it was. A few weeks ago, I decided to look it up. I found out a whole bunch of information about Canada's involvement in the Korean War, and one particular battle, the Battle of Gapyeong. I looked at the date of the battle, and I looked at the calendar, and I realized that we were approaching the 70th anniversary of that battle. So today is the 24th of April, and this battle took place on the 24th and the 25th of April in 1951. So if my math is correct, that's 70 years ago to the day that this battle occurred. Let's take a look around. Canadian contribution to the Korean War. Between 1950 and 1953, Canada participated in the Korean War as part of the United Nations multinational force to protect South Korea from invasion by North Korea. Some 27,000 Canadians left behind the comforts of home in the interest of peace and security in a region far removed from their own country. 516 of them gave their lives in the name of this noble cause. So 516 Canadians never made it home from the Korean War. Okay, the Battle of Gapyeong. I read that this is one of Canada's greatest military achievements that no one's ever heard of, or at least is not well known. People have heard of Vimy Ridge in World War I, and of course, Canada's contributions to D-Day. But no one really knows about the Battle of Gapyeong. So let me try and summarize the pages upon pages upon pages detailing this battle that I read online. April of 1951, the Chinese had entered the war and had joined the North and were on a major offensive heading south. And they were overwhelming the South Korean forces, forcing them to retreat through this valley here. This is the Gapyeong Valley. The South Koreans needed cover. They needed help to aid with their retreat. Canadians and Australians and New Zealanders were called in. The Canadians set up on Hill 677, which I think is that one. I'm not sure. This was the 2nd Battalion of the Princess Patricia Canadian Light Infantry, the Canadian unit that was on the hill. And the Australians were on Hill 504. There were between 5,000 and 6,000 Chinese soldiers, and between the Canadians and the Australians and New Zealanders combined was only about 500. So they were vastly outnumbered. On the evening of the 23rd, the Chinese attacked Hill 504, which is where the Australians were, and that went on all night. By the morning, there had been 155 casualties on the Australian side, and the Australians were forced to retreat. That left the Canadians all alone, unprotected on Hill 677. So the next night of the 24th, which is 70 years ago today, the Chinese started attacking the Canadians. That battle went on for a few days. At one point, after the first night of fighting, the Canadians were pretty much out of ammo. They had almost no food left, and they were surrounded, completely surrounded by Chinese. So the commander of the Canadians, J.G.W. Mills, I think was his name, he ordered his troops to bunker down. I guess they had dug some trenches and some foxholes up there, and he ordered in an artillery strike on their own position. It was the New Zealanders that answered, and over about an hour, there were thousands and thousands of artillery rounds shot at the Canadians' location. They were landing just meters from where the Canadians were. At the end of that, all the Chinese that had surrounded the Canadians were gone, and 0 Canadian casualties in that part of the battle. The next day, new supplies were airdropped in, and the Canadians kept fighting for another day or so, and then they were finally relieved. At the end of that battle, there had been roughly 2,000 Chinese casualties and only 10 Canadian casualties with 23 wounded. So Canadians held their own on Hill 677 and did us all proud. I did read that this was kind of a turning point in the war, because the Chinese had to turn around and regroup, and that after this there were no other battles of this scale in the rest of the war. I think after this it was more kind of smaller battles here and there, but this was like the last major battle. I'm not sure if that's true or not. So for their efforts and for their heroism and their sacrifice, the US government awarded both the Australians and the Canadian units the Presidential Unit Citation, and this was the very first time, possibly the only time, I don't know, that it's been awarded to a Canadian unit. So go Canada. And that is a very brief summary of the Battle of Gapyeong, one of Canada's greatest military achievements that no one's ever heard of. It's still early in the day. I'm not going to make this one an overnight trip. I want to go home some point today, but I do have time to go somewhere else. There's lots to see and do in Gapyeong. There is the Garden of the Morning Calm. I've been there twice before. I don't really feel like walking around a garden. There's also Nami Island. It's quite nice, but I know it's gonna be crowded with people. There's 2 other places that I've been wanting to go. One is called Petite France, or Petit France, and it's just supposed to be like this French village. The other one is a Swiss village called Edelweiss. I can't decide which one I want to go to, so I'm gonna flip a coin. We'll do 100 is France, and the man, I think it's King Sejong, will be Switzerland. Whoa! Runaway money. We're going to Switzerland. Guess where we are? We're in Switzerland. Not really. We're in Edelweiss, a little mock-up Swiss village apparently. Thank you. How do you say thank you in German? I think it's Danke, isn't it? All right, I know Switzerland is a small country. I just didn't know it was this small. Pretty empty. I see one person, but he loves the flowers.
Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright, you look happy to see me.
That was my grandfather's favorite song. I used to watch that Sound of Music with my grandparents when I was a wee little lad. I remember watching the movie Heidi, the Shirley Temple movie, as a kid. We had it on VHS. I've watched that movie a whole bunch of times. Maybe that's what got me liking Switzerland. I've always had a fascination with Switzerland. And then once I finally got there, I understood why I did. And I have a student named Heidi. Hi, Dee. If she hasn't seen the movie Heidi, I highly recommend it, both to her and her sister Hannah. So Hannah and Heidi, you should go watch the movie Heidi. Oh, looks like musical performance. Oh, there's a baby. A cheese museum. I like cheese. It's the lady herself, Heidi. This looks like the house I lived in university. This is supposed to be Switzerland, but all I see is France wine, France, Australia. Where's the Swiss wine? Is this a common thing? Disneyland has like the it's a small world thing, right? But do other countries have theme parks of other countries? Does Switzerland have a Korean themed park? All right, and that is Edelweiss. A little pit stop in Switzerland on my way home from the Canadian War Memorial. It was kind of a hike up here, as all hikes in the Alps are. Pretty steep, so I'm gonna take the quick way home, or the quick way down, I should say, to the bike. All right, here we go. Okay guys, that's the video for today. I guess I should talk about it. I haven't really addressed it yet, but a few weeks ago, I got an email from another YouTube channel and they asked to use my video in one of their videos. And I said yes, and I didn't really know what I was getting into. It appears their channel was pretty big and a lot of people saw my video. So because of that, I got a few Korean subscribers. So, annyeonghaseyo to you guys. I'm doing my best to find ways to put Korean subtitles on the videos. Hopefully I'll get it on this one. Thanks to everyone that's been subscribing. Actually, I met the threshold with YouTube. When I started Dan Does Korea, I wasn't actually planning on taking it this far, but it's been a blast. I'm having a lot of fun doing it, learning a lot. So thanks everyone for subscribing. I am now monetized. I'm not sure what that's gonna do to the channel. Probably nothing. You might see a couple ads in there. I will say goodbye for now and annyeonghaseyo. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys on the next video. Cheers. I think that kid was following me for a long time. Oh, no exit.